taken away, so they're not going to make sure that Inspired gets it and can put kind of a target on this Orin's back. And now it's about grabbing a safe blind pick and something that can flex to try to match whatever matchup Misfits want.
Ooh, taking their time here.
That makes a lot more sense. Forget everything that I just said. Just pick your jungler here.
Yeah, definitely true. Saving last pick for jungle, maybe not the most inspiring counter pick options up and available.
Forgot that there was an Ornn. It happens.
I mean, look.
I try to block it out.
Not necessarily the most thrilling champion to watch up, at least until he started to use his ultimate. But it looks like Inspired is happy to take Sejuani into Lee Sin. Fine matchup
it's
for
going to be
Sejuani.
Zoe.
Ooh.
He's going to pick Azir, and then Febiven's going to take Zoe, and then it's going to be boring.
Aw, Frosco, you sound so disappointed. You don't love the thrilling Azir versus Zoe matchup where Azir maybe accidentally gets tagged by a bubble, dashes away to safety, and then nothing happens. That's not what does it for you. That's not what gets you fired up.
Come on, Febiven. Give me something good. I know you can take Zoe here, but do you want to? Lee Sin, you could take something spicy.
I would love sustained damage. Even better. You wanted boring, Frosker, and Misfits are like, we will deliver. Corky versus Zir.
I wish I had Zoe now. I take it all back.
What I will say is that I like that they have more sustained damage on the team. Zoe's a lot of burst. Obviously, you get a lot of good pick comps, but now it feels like both teams can, in theory, front-to-back team fight. But yeah, definitely not the most exciting lane phase.
I think it's also the potential now that Misfits can play out into a side lane with the Corki, which is something that Rogue's composition will be reliant on the Abyssal Voyage to match, so there's a bit more opportunity and flexibility there in terms of how Misfits want to play this one out. But otherwise, these are really stock standard compositions. I feel like we went back in time. It's Azir versus Corki. It's like your big, beefy tanks and then fighting front to back with Aphelios versus Xayah. This is not my favorite compositions, I'll say that.
Which, to be fair, if you're Rogue right now, you're like, hell yeah, we just got our bread and butter. Larson on Azir scaling to late game, that's all we did last summer. So, ready to see them bust it out again. And for Finn, I think finally has potentially a positive matchup here on the top side of the map with the Blade of the Rune King buffs, where Renekton can really bully out the Ornn, even if it's pretty hard to outvalue him in fights.
Yeah, and it's just kind of different responsibilities here for both these top laners. Dan's going to be on weak side tank utility duty, whereas there is a bit more bite for Finn here.
And really, when we look at it, if the mid lanes aren't going crazy, if they're not fighting, if they're not killing each other, it gives us a lot more room once again to focus around the bot side of the map and see if Misfits didn't really out-execute last game. They kind of just caught what Rogue were throwing at him. Maybe they can be the ones to dictate the pace more over this game. But here we go. Rogue versus Misfits, Game 2. Misfits up 1-0 in this elimination match. And here we are, straight on to the Rift, ready to see what exactly both teams have in store here in this early game for us, because I think
not going to be much.
It's going to be calm. It's going to be controlled. It's going to be collected. All right, that's perfect, actually, because it gives us kind of time to talk more about what you brought up in Champ Selects, which I think is so interesting, which is that concept of kind of like fighting to taste victory again, right? Because I think that for Rogue and Misfits, these are two hugely storied organizations. Rogue actually relatively new. Misfits hugely storied here, and they're like on the cusp of greatness, but they just can't keep it going consistently.
It's also the fact that, and we talked about this, outside of Vander and Febiven, you have a bunch of very young, inexperienced names. Some of these guys kind of getting their first shot at making a splash in playoffs. And, in a league that is so storied with some of the most iconic players in League of Legends, the Recklesses and the Perks of the world, you can only take what opportunity is given to you. And for a lot of these guys, it's their first opportunity to make a name for themselves. Kind of the theme of this series is remember the name. You will not forget B-Boy again, and he will make sure that he makes this impact. And now it's on Rogue side. Who are you going to remember? Who will actually make the rise and show up when they need to be clutch?
It's a huge question, right? And doing it 2 games in a row on 2 different champions who can be very explosive in the game. the Callista as well as potentially here. The Xayah on the bottom side is a big deal. But you talk about veterans in this game, and I think it's important to bring up the one man who is like truly a veteran beyond veterans outside of Vander, and that is Febiven in the mid lane. He historically is just a guy that has gone through so much in his career. 11 splits, 8 playoffs, 2 titles, MSI. We all remember 2015. Maybe not all the great years of Azir versus Corki as he's now getting pushed into the tower, but this guy has been all over the place. 2014 HQK, 2015 Fnatic, 2017 H2K, Clutch. He goes over to NA. It goes terribly. He comes back, another terrible year, and for the first time it feels like we're finally seeing a return to form from Febiven, propped up by all of these rookies who are so hungry for success.
Yeah, it's the fact that 2015 Febiven sends his regards, the European golden child from kind of like the height of Europe before the rise of G2. And I was watching Misfits' Mischief series, and I think Amazing called it right. Obviously, coach behind Misfits, and he just said, Febiven's the engine. You know, he keeps going. The drive, the motivation, he powers everything. But speaking of getting powered, Dan's getting powered off this top lane.
Okay. And here we have the...
What are we watching?
That's a good question. We're watching... Oh, they're trying to show us exactly how thrilling Corki and Azir can be. Because if you're a Corki and Azir connoisseur... Look at that. Look at that. Look at that right there. You see how he cued that minion? So big brain. So big brain. Adjusted how the wave is going to put... I'm kidding. I have no idea why we watched that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're just going to continue on like nothing happened. And everything will be okay. I think we just had to adjust some settings, and that replay was just a smoke screen. Smoke and mirrors to distract you from whatever was going on behind the scenes, folks.
This is why they pay you the big bucks, Dracos, because you're the ultimate. The producer taps in the ears like, Dracos, I need you to distract. You're
Dracos,
like
I need you to lie through your teeth and make up some reason why this is relevant. Corki Azir, highly tactical.
Well done.
No idea. Finn, in the meantime, trying desperately to bully on the top side. Things already going much better for him. 5 CS lead up. Dan obviously going to suffer. And we're going to have to see how well Dan can play weak side of the map. He's very usually the source of attention for this Misfits lineup.
Hold on. Here comes Dinnick and Razork. Built-in synergy. Can they get the knock-up into the connected queue?
A lot of damage coming in from Hans Sama. Snare is not going to land, however. I think he was hoping to find all 3 feathers there from B-Boy. So Rogue going to continue to play quite comfortably, and Lee Sin showing on the bottom side will make it that much easier for Sejuani to make her next move. For now, it will just be Inspired recalling.
Yeah, it should be resets from both junglers, running to Crud camp, then either look for gank or move on to Raptor camp, look for gank again. A potential dragon setup, although it's going to be hard for Misfits at this point because they've lost priority in mid and in bot lane. I think Razor does want to fix that. I think Misfits are probably playing around package timing, where Rogue are going to be playing around Sejuani ultimate, so this is why we expect kind of the early minutes of this game to just be ping-ponging. Just a gentleman's agreement, handshake, we're going to farm it out, it's all good.
We got one Corki TP coming in mid lane. Azir is just going to respond. You're right, it's a complete and total handshake for Oscar, and so we wait for level 6s. And unlike last game, there's not a massive advantage for one side or the other. It was Razork at level 5 to Inspired's level 3 last time around. Much more even keel. Top lane really the only place where I feel like the deficit is starting to build quite quickly, and potentially something that Misfits need to be aware of, because Dan needs to get more levels to get those Ornn upgraded items coming through, and Renekton finishing a Blade of the Rune King early is essentially a death sentence for Dan if he does not get any armor under his belt.
Look at Febiven. He went tier to try to have enough mana to compete with this wave clear, I guess, from Larson.
I mean, the on-hit damage from Muramon is good. We missed something in the scrim meta and/or on this patch, because, like, correct me, please feel free to reach out and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of tier building going on champions that auto-attack, and that, outside of Ezreal, I didn't think anyone ever wanted to build that item except for Senna when she was first released. That's the state of this game right now, where Corki comes back, he's like, could come for the Sheen, but I'm coming for the tiers. Okay, like, so Inspired rocked up into the mid lane, helped shove so that they can attempt to dive Dan again here. Now, Dinnick is on the rotation top side, and I believe those are Rogue's safety pings, so suspecting that because they don't have vision on B-Boy and Dinnick, that Misfits are probably rotating the support up here, but otherwise, they're continuing to grow this lead on Finn, who's not just putting it into the CS pocket, but also putting it into the plate pocket, and in response, that opens up the Infernal for Razork. Ooh, but how much does it open up if Hansama can step forward? Luckily, Febiven has pushed out mid lane, will be able to step down. So essentially it's a trade. All that pressure used top side means yes, one, it looks like potentially 2 plates here for Finn. Extra 320 gold for him, but giving up for the Infernal Drake might count against them if we get late enough. For now, though, Finn very happy with that exchange.
So this is a bit removed from what we just saw, but it is something for viewers to kind of draw their attention to, and I want to really underline Razork and Dinnick in particular here. Misfits struggle a bit in kind of mid to late game macro rotation decisions, and I think it's particularly between their support and their jungle, and them being just slightly late to the right play. Now, Dinnick made the right call there. He went topside. I'll hold it. Hansam is fine. Tom Kinch, fun champion. So Dinnick made the right call there, walking topside, but it's kind of like, it's those 5-second, those 10-second differences, and it's not so crucial in that moment because it allowed Razork to get the Infernal anyway, but just watch. Like, Dinnick and Razork, especially when the towers fall down, will sometimes just be at the wrong place at the wrong time, which is why close games are really devastating for Misfits, because they're not the strongest rotation-based team.
Oh, are they going to get this recall off? Nope, it is going to be canceled. Inspired is here with level 6. B-Boy is going to get caught out, and they should just be able to shut him down. B-Boy flashing over the wall. Luckily, the blast cone is there to ferry him out to safety, but excellent play coming in from Rogue.
And that was the big timer that we talked about previously, that Rogue were going to be waiting for Inspired's cooldown, so there it goes. Now it's Misfits' turn. Ping pong again. Well, we had our go at making a play. Here's your chance. Grab the package.
Oh, but they got a flash, Frostgurn, so they're coming out on top. 600 gold lead. Woo! It's slow, all right? I
promise
steady.
This game will get exciting, but we just got to get to team fight phase, which I think Rogue fans are probably like, yes, like you said, this is exactly where we want them. Like, Rogue fans like, we know how this composition works. We win with it all the time.
Scaling. What else do they need to do? They're chilling. And they're still have Inspired making plays. Rogue are kind of getting everything that they want. Well, maybe not everything that they want, but they're slowly getting little bits and pieces of things that they might enjoy, which is, you know, progress.
They're also trying to set up for this Herald. They do need to respect the package. Febiven didn't use it to wave clear. Smartly walked in, used the Gatling gun, and now is using the package and Dinnick's rotation to bully Rogue off of this. I think it was Yamato who said it, but any team that starts the Herald is immediately put at a disadvantage if both teams are there, obviously because someone's drawing aggro of giant monster. So Rogue smartly don't even smile at it. It's just like, it's fine. They rotated. We don't get it for free.
Match the rotation. Dan getting absolutely obliterated here. That's only the Cutlass, but the slow definitely makes it that much easier for Finn to chase him down. Even though they are going to start this, Misfits taking an opportunity to get something done here is a bit of a risk. I think they're trying to sneak this one away, but Inspired is on the way in.
And his cooldown is almost back up, so watching that ultimate from Sejuani, doesn't have it just yet. There is also a TP on both top laners, and Ornn's ult is down.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, okay, Rogue going to back off on that one. Now, important to note that it is the level 6 from Dinnick and B-Boy, and they were in position more so than Hansama and Vander were, so maybe just don't want to take any risks there. But definitely feels like Rogue threw away a little bit of that gold advantage that they built for themselves early on, now that Misfits are going to guarantee at least 300 when that Herald crashes into a tower.
And you would imagine that they'd probably put it into the Corki back pocket. But I do want to kind of talk about this matchup on your screen right now. I was talking to Bwippo when we had him on analyst test a couple of segments, and he did talk about how this is a matchup that you can really make bleed, but obviously at the time, all of the goodness that Ornn brings to a composition, because he is a low econ top laner still, there's always a point where it doesn't matter. Like, you can make Ornn bleed, but you cannot break him. So Finn really needs to take advantage while he can and while he can really punish before Ornn just becomes Ornn anyway.
It is somewhat inevitable. Razzle.
Oh, thanks.
I like
thanks
it.
For the leash.
What can't they take away from Inspired?
I mean, it helps obviously because Febiven doesn't get it. Thank you, observers, showing the sad Corki. So, yeah, Lee Sin got the blue buff away. Larson's blue buff is now, does he still have it? Or did it fall off? I think Larson still has his blue. So I guess there's a note there, but Corki's still running tier.
Unstoppable coming out with a huge Renekton ult. That's going to be more than enough damage. As we're trying to get the follow-up, but he's just going to get absolutely ripped through, running away. As they're going to try to dash out to safety. They're trying to finish this one off, but that's the double kill. Now Febiven is looking to be the cleanup squad here. Instead, though, he's just going to back off, and well played by Rogue. 2 quick kill pickups.
Yeah, super well played. I want to get the replay of that. I believe it was like perfect layering of the CC between Renekton and Sejuani there to make sure that it wasn't a 1-for-1 trade, that Misfits would get anything back. Very clean. As we talked about it, we wanted it. You have to get as much out of this Renekton early game as you can. It's now top lane. Nothing.
Going Dinnick.
Oh, something!
Have to play careful, forcing out the ult there. Don't want to take the Inferno damage, but Vander's looking to give him a lick. May have bit off more than he could chew, though. B-Boy needs to step forward, but he has to be careful because Hansama does so much damage. That was not the fight that B-Boy wanted, but the exhaust is there. Denik is trying so hard to win this exchange, but it looks like too little too late. Finn now on the way, and they're burning everything on this one. They just want to get it started off. Denik going to grab one kill. Hansama manages to make it out, but Dan, is he going to give his life for the exchange? It does not look like it. Dashes out to safety before anything else can happen. Hansama under the turret. Razork now on the way in. That's a level 10 Renekton with Blade of the Rune King. This might not be the fight that they're looking for, and it looks like indeed they will just back away.
So much expended for that top lane. Multiple teleports, a lot of flashes. It doesn't translate to any sort of objective, but I guess a point was made. So we take a look at what happened bot lane. Again, I'm trying to pay attention to how they changed the CC here. And then the ultimate comes basically as soon as he hits the ground. Really nice.
Really solid. Razor actually just clean play from Inspired as well. The flash there, the follow-up to make that flail connect. And Finn is tearing through this tower. 112 CS. It doesn't feel like the most crazy, most explosive game overall, right? It's 3-1, but it's already a 2K gold lead, and I think almost all of that is in the back pocket of Finn and Inspired, who the 2 kills going to Inspired and all those tower plates going to Finn. 5K to 3.5 for the Ornn. Dan is going to be done pretty quick here.
I mean, anytime you have Sejuani at what, like 13 minutes in the game who has 2 kills, you're feeling pretty good, especially when you look across at the Lee Sin. You're like, my value, what I'm going to bring to a team fight, the utility on my champion is far more significant than anything you can do. So, onus on Razork to try to like outplay this scenario, whereas it feels like Inspired gets a bit easy mode on the champion and the gold that he has stacked onto her.
So now Larson potentially in trouble. B-Boy trying to keep the play going. As you mentioned, good flash takedown safety with Bevan now face checking into Hansama, but it's more than happy with the exchange thus far. Does he want to go for the big package? He does. He feels the big play in his bones. He manages to get it down before the stun can come through. The auto will not be interrupted, and now Razork is on the way, and he can try to swallow up Bevan, but it might not happen. Diplo try to buy a little bit of time. Bevan's in trouble. The knockup comes through. Double kill. The kick going to close it out, and Bevan going to be happy with that one.
Remember Hansama, who you used to play for? You left Misfits. You decided you wanted to win? Well, Bevan sends his regards.
Just solid play. On top of that, he's still got the Muramana. He's stacking. He just picked up the Sheen. That's a perfect time to get a few more kills. Makes it that much faster to get to the Trinity Force.
I want to see what happens here. Like you said, Bevan just knows he's got the Sheen. Face checks in. He's like, watch how much damage I'm about to do to this kid.
That was a lot of damage.
What's great here is like Razork actually walked back towards the mid lane to hit with the Herald, so I don't know if that's like a miscommunication there, instead of following his mid laner. Like, Razork's already walking back towards Herald as Fubivin is Valkyring across to kill Hansama.
I would not be surprised if they're min-maxing and he just walked back to get the plate gold. He's like, hold on one sec, I gotta get 300 gold. All right, I'm back, I'm helping, I swear I never left. And look, it's 15 minutes in, and as good as Fubivin is, this is by far the strongest game we've seen from Finn in a long time, and it feels like those are the 2 actors in this play. Everyone else, they're side characters. They're B-roll at best, but Finn is up 51 CS and 2.7k gold in terms of his individual matchup. That is astonishing. He's going to get Black Cleaver right after Dan finishes his Sunfire Cape.
He's got to have some potential to continue to beat out onto a side lane, but the issue is that Corki is also now getting pretty fed. So there is an answer that Misfits have to also play out into a side lane, which then Vander's Abyssal Voyage becomes, again, that much more important. So it is something to keep our eye on as the lane assignments break down, the more we start dropping these towers and opening the map up.
And I like to see that B-Boy's already taking a few camps away, something we often see from Xayah, kind of funneling resources into that champion so she can get off the ground a little bit faster. But it seems like we've approached the team fight stage of the game. Everyone is grouped up and looking for a fight. Here comes the Ornn Horn. Dan going to try to find the engage. Interrupted a little bit by Vander, but he's taking a lot of poke back in response. Febvin maybe forced to Valk out to safety, and it's Inspired, and Finn still on the side. Hansama doesn't have the Gravitum ult, so he won't be able to keep the fight going, but he does lay down a bit more poke.
That's a lot of big ultimates, however, used, as Rogue managed to hold on to theirs, so they just kind of let Misfits throw their face at them into the mid lane. It doesn't translate into any sort of pressure advantage or tower. They're trying to like double down onto it now, but with blue Aphelios, it's going to be really hard to break through here.
Yep, just instantly shreds through the wave. And Trinity Force getting closer and closer for Febvin, so obviously a ton of mana there to make the Muramana work. Presence of Mind combining there as well means that you should have a lot of just flat AD at this point in the game on top of the extra Sheen burst. So while Larson may have better sustained damage, it will be hard to match Corki's burst in the fights to come.
This is a bit dangerous though, so It's not desperation, but you can feel that Misfits are very hungry to kind of start the fight here, whereas Rogue are definitely playing much more calm and collected from the back foot. They just kind of absorbed the pressure that Misfits threw at them in the mid lane. They now sent Larson bot side. He's not even using his TP. He back to base. He's now walking towards the Herald. So kind of in the last 2 to 3 minutes, Rogue just kind of like wore Misfits out. They like watched them run around in circles like, are you done yet? Are you calm? Okay. And then they just took what they came here for.
And this is the kind of tenacity that you do want to see in a best-of-5 for Oscar. Because I was definitely wondering, as we came after Game 1, when Rogue were trying so hard to force every single play in Game 1, if things would change for Game 2. And it does seem like they've calmed down. They've got a draft they're very comfortable with. They know how to play this one out. They're not taking any risks, and they just look infinitely more comfortable as a result.
And now they just need to pick their moment about when they want to turn on. And you talked about the scaling, how we know that big team fights will be coming. Rogue are fine to give away these Drakes. The towers are more important to them at this point, so securing the Rift Herald was much more valuable, because this game will be more about kind of the 20-25 minute mark rather than the 15.
Always something that I love to hear. Of course, good news for Misfits is that B-Boy has the extra BF sword here. Not sure how much gold Hansama has in his back pocket, so hopefully looking to even that out. But itemization differences can be pretty massive. Yeah, he has enough there. So he'll be able to pick up and match on top of the boots and the extra dagger that he has. The extra 2 daggers, rather, not the boots. So things not terrible for Misfits. It's not an unrecoverable gold lead, but when I look at these two compositions, I've seen Rogue execute this composition a ton. I know they can play this composition when we get to mid to late game. For Misfits, I don't think like we've seen that same team fighting spark when they don't have a very big lead generated in the early game.
Misfits have some pretty chaotic team fights. Now, the thing is while Misfits definitely don't have the same like coordination and like cleanliness that Rogue do in their team fights, it's Febiven, he's okay, he'll walk it off. They definitely have that X factor because they have guys like Razork and Febiven who can just win you team fights because they outplay multiple scenarios. And that's not to say that Rogue don't have that in guys like Larson, but I would just say that's kind of the edge that Misfits do bring to team fights, whereas Rogue kind of bring that more Mighty Ducks, like flying V, collective teamwork.
It's the power of friendship. Yeah, and I think the thing to note for Misfits too is that they're fortunate enough to have the Rakan in their composition, right, which can always change a team fight. We've seen so many miraculous Rakan ults from Hylissang, from Mickey, from Kaiser as well now, adding his name to that list, to turn games around. And while Tahm Kench is very good, very stable, very reliable, allows you to move between lanes, doesn't have quite the same high highs. So maybe Dennett can be kind of the big difference maker in the fights to come.
Especially if he gets out to one of these side lanes, as we've basically just been trading lane farm now for kind of the last 2 to 3 minutes, and it's going to be a question about who gets the numbered advantage to one side of the map, maybe catches someone out, if that's Larson or if that's Dan. As you can see, both teams have sent their jungle support combos sniffing around.
Yeah, both teams kind of fishing, just laying out the line, seeing who's going to bite, seeing who's going to overextend, seeing who's going to overcommit. But for now, both teams just kind of dancing back and forth, as you mentioned. The good news is Rogue's strongest point on the map, Finn, remains dominant in this matchup. It means he can provide a little bit more pressure for the team. Good news for Misfits, though, is if they start a fight without Finn there, they're basically dead even in gold, because Finn is where 90% of that Rogue advantage is.
It's still just really hard to try to crack or start a fight on Rogue, however, because outside of Dan, there's not a lot of hard CC other than the Rakan, but you have so many disengage tools. I'll hold it. Maybe they catch Larson.
Connects the flash forward just to follow it up. The instant shutdown. Well played by Razork. Did not want to give Larson any opportunity to make his way out of that one, and he gets Finn's TP as well.
And it's Misfits who make it out into the side lane first, as Febiven turns around like, you don't actually want this. You think you're big because you've been punching down on Ornn? Guess what? You're not going to punch down on Corki.
Inspired, though. They don't want to do anything alone, but they are willing to do it as a team. This ulti connects onto Febiven. No auto attacks will hit, though, so the stun follow-up can't be there for Inspired, and both sides just going to back away. They're just squaring up for Oscar, and they're ready to fight, but they're just talking trash right now to each other.
It's because both teams have options that they don't mind trading farm because there are scaling potential there. I do think, though, that side lane play is eventually going to be a breakpoint for Misfits, just because I think Febiven's just gonna outscale and outlast. Like, yeah, Finn's been having a good time with Dan, but now he's been pulled away from him. There's still a massive CS difference, but eventually Ornn will just start to do Ornn things, and Febiven can hold down the fort with his teleport, with his mobility on Corki until he's ready to be there. So Misfits can match Rogue in the 5v5 in terms of team composition, and they can match Rogue in terms of Finn's advantage on a side lane because of how strong Corki is.
Yeah, and as Finn starts to fall off, you're obviously always going to be a great duelist, but as he starts to fall off in team fights, those Ornn items are going to amount to more and more, and we're getting closer and closer to the break point for Dan. We'll hold that thought, though, because Denix is going to go for the flash engage. The fall-up onto Tahm Kench is there. Hansama can get spit out to safety. The exhaust will make sure he doesn't go down. Now Hansama wants to turn it because it's inspired on the back side. Here he goes in for the ult. He will connect onto Febiven, and that should just be his life, but no, Febiven flashing out within an inch of his life. The safeguard will keep him healthy, and now the fight's going to turn B-Boy! That was massive. Larson there to punish, however, is Denix now just going to try to make what he can out of a potentially lost fight. Dan needs to make it out. Misfits doing well to kick things off. It looks hype, it looks flashy, but Rogue just going to slowly but surely walk them down as Dan is going to walk away here empty-handed.
And it feels like what Rogue will actually get out of this, other than the kill gold, is they'll be able to match the mid lane tower and get in position for the Ocean Drake that's spawning in 15 seconds. So it's kind of, in terms of objectives, a wash back and forth, but definitely some hero moments from key players. So to start this one out, it feels like Rogue really just want to play like the wave game. They send Larson down bottom, Finn is down top side, and they're like, it's fine, we have Hansama on Aphelios and Kench to hold mid lane, but like Misfits just throw everything in the kitchen sink to look for the dive, and they forced Rogue to react. Now, in the reaction, outside of this crazy play by B-Boy with the flash to hit the feathers there, they do end up cleaning up the fight, but you can kind of see the stylistic difference between these teams. The fact that Misfits are like, no, you will fight us, and it's a question of if Rogue survive it or not.
And credit to B-Boy, but now the fight's just going to start again because Razork is just going to get deleted here. Lock down the kick out to safety. Is alive for now. Febiven is going to use the package that unstoppable, keeping him alive and well. B-Boy, though, no ultimate, has to be careful. He's going to back up on this one, but he's taking so much damage without that ult. He instantly gets shredded through, and there's Finn. All that gold paying off. Hansama raining hell from the back line. Dan and Febiven got nothing left but to run. Finn fishing for the double dash, wants to make his way in for more, but massive fight in favor of Rogue.
And this is some of those macro rotational errors that we were talking about that Misfits struggle with. That was never their dragon to try to fight for. You didn't have flash, you didn't have ultimate on Xayah. You shouldn't have approached it when you already gave Rogue on a composition that excels so much when they get to set up first access to the Drake. Now losing that team fight, and if they lose the Baron here, that's the moment where Misfits threw it all away.
The thing is, Aphelios has not the ideal guns for the shred, so it does buy them a bit more time, but here comes the Tahm Kench. Oh no, this is going to go from bad to worse. If they take the Baron and then find 2 kills on top of it, Finn is very big. Can he make his way out to safety in this one? 1.2k getting lower and lower. They are going to grab the Baron. Now they can turn to look for Febiven, but Febiven, one-man army. Maybe he can get something done here, but he has to be careful, has to pay respect. Hansama has the CC necessary to lock him down. Misfits walking away, and Rogue secure the Baron, not uncontested, but unharmed.
Yeah, the smarter team in the moment wins here. And again, Rogue had first access here. Razor maybe feeling flashy. They had the TP from Febiven behind the tower. They think, okay, we can catch them off guard. We can look for the pincer. But doesn't pay off as Dennick and B-Boy face check right into Inspired still in the pit. And then B-Boy just gets shredded.
That bush got double face checked by Misfits in the fight. Both times it cost them so much. They cannot afford to make mistakes like that in the fights to come because it's clear Rogue, they're very comfortable. They know exactly how they win those exchanges. They didn't hesitate to continue on the Baron. They weren't scared of Febiven either, and now it's earned them a 6k gold lead. They've tied up the Drakes, and they were already winning pretty handily, but now every lane is starting to pull ahead.
And this will be my expectation over the course of the series, that when games are really close, just like neck and neck, I edge Rogue as the better team because they make more consistent and better macro rotation-based calls. They will more likely than not be in the right place at the right time. Whereas if it's a snowball, Misfits are probably going to be the people who win that game because they're the aggressive team. They're the ones that force you to go off script and try to make the crazy plays, and then have the miracle players like the Fevins, like the Razorks, that can take a lead and know how to run away with it.
Things are just going to get harder from here on out. Inspired will recall safely. Larson is a similar story, but I talk kind of about how Rakan, the theoretical world of a team fight, can outvalue a Tahm Kench. When he can't outvalue a Tahm Kench is the 1-3-1 that Rogue can set up if they want to. They can split up 4-1, 1-3-1, however they want. With this Baron buff backing them up, they can really do anything.
And that's kind of the nice thing, though, for both teams, is that the Baron going either side wouldn't be like the game ender, though, although I do feel that this still puts a massive advantage into Rogue's back pocket, and if Misfits kind of go back after this game, it's going to be that Drake fight that they go back to the table on, but because of the nature of these compositions, they still get a couple more chances to try to claw this one back, but Rogue pretty firmly in control. Dinnick, watch him.
Absolutely. On flank. Something that they're wishing for, but he will get spotted out now. They have most of their flanks warded on the side of Rogue, as well as this Azir tower set up, and it's very hard to collapse on this team at this point in time. Meanwhile, Finn does break down the bottom tier 2. Fev been the only person who can contest him, only person with enough of a damage threat and survivability to really stop the Renekton pushing any further. Now Inspired just stepping forward. The turret's laid down on Sama. He's got Infernum. He's got the Chakram. He can do a lot of damage if they try to walk into him. It's very difficult to walk into an Aphelios when he has those weapons out.
So the question is kind of when will Misfits take their moment? Will they wait until Aphelios runs out of ammo, swaps weapons, and then charge? Because they're trying to weigh up, like, if we lose the fight here, that's pretty much it. Like, the waves are big enough that the game ends. Or do we take the moment, think that Rogue have overextended or someone is slightly out of position, and then pull the Ornn Horn and try to start the fight? Or find Dinnik on some sort of flank?
This is so obnoxious. that just did like 700 damage with 2 little plink autos from those turrets. My god. Aphelios, while nerfed repeatedly, still remains frustrating. 3 items, it turns out, on any AD carry makes them annoying, and Aphelios is no exception there, as Hansama is feeling quite comfortable. Good news is, Dandan approaching level 14. He can upgrade either B-Voy or Febivin, depending on where they've slotted their items. Ideally, the Molten Edge for both in the levels to come.
You don't think it's going to be the Black Cleaver upgrade for Razork?
Look, I've seen a lot of healthy misclicks in pro play. You know what I mean? I've seen people put items in the wrong slot and end up with the Trinity Fusion. Maybe he wants to do that. I don't know. It seems like the wrong choice, but I trust that Misfits have done the math.
In terms of core itemization coming through, you know how the Randuin's Omen up for Sejuani. Basically, like, everyone's going to start being the meaty tanks, and because the dragons are split 2 for 2 each side, we can't even get into this exciting moment where it's like a must fight for a soul, although Misfits will probably fight for it even though they don't need to.
And that's what I like to see. Go for it. They've got the package as well. Last time Fevivin had to use it to escape, so maybe if they can kick things off in their favor, they can use it more aggressively, get some of that damage down. But Rogue's front line strong enough, the Tahm Kench as well as the Sejuani here to just continue to poke, continue to stop any kind of engages. We are full on
We're
A-ramming.
North America now.
We got him there. We have agreed to fight. You and all your friends in the mid lane at 29 minutes. We're squaring up.
You don't need it. Neither team really needs this. You can play a side lane. It's not a soul point. Oh, we will die for this one.
That does not matter. This is the arena.
Misfits are at a disadvantage, though, because if they die here, look at the bot wave. It would be game over.
Oh, but they managed to find him in the pinch. Dandan, that's going to be a big ult. They only managed to hit Tahm Kench. B-Boy off to the side. Good damage so far. Dandan soaking as much as he can, but it's Finn on the back line. It's going to be a problem for this team. But Finn dashing out to safety. B-Boy's still there. B-Boy can go in, but the exhaust comes in. It's clutch from Vander. The ultimate already forced out. It's a slow, controlled team fight. Rogue had the health bars in their favor. Misfits going to walk away with the dragon.
So they pull the Drake, but they immediately have to fall back into their base as the Baron is spawning. They need to clear out these waves, get them off their towers. That then gives Rogue, like, okay, yeah, you can have the Drake. Again, it's not soul point. We're going to get first rotation, first access to set up for this Baron.
Dinnik, though, still trying to threaten. Misfits still feeling confident in their ability to step forward. And you're right, though, 23 seconds on this Baron. Rogue are going to take the opportunity to recall.
Need to get the control wards.
Makes sense. And now Finn doing Finn things. Going bot lane to push. He does have TP, of course. Can make his way back to the pit at any moment. I thought he was like going on another journey to steal a buff like we saw in last game. You never know with Finn.
He wants to catch whoever's going to walk up to that wave. And I think Dandan's kind of suspicious. Like, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're feeling each other out like, someone's there. I know someone's there.
He's like,
that's
I
level
have TP.
17 to level 14.
You have TP. We both need to go to the Baron eventually. He sniffs it out. Now,
look at Dandan's level. Look at Finn's level.
Look at Dandan's position. This man might as well be in his fountain. He's so afraid of dealing with this Renekton right now. He's waiting for his team to back off so he can contest a wave. He might be great in a team fight, but man, this is not a 1v1 he ever wants. He doesn't even want to trade a little bit.
I know Misfits are like a Florida-based org, but that is not the Gator that they want to party with.
Definitely not. Finn, though, stepping up to just the team, moving into mid lane. Razork, once again, fishing for the flank. They're going to spot the ward coming over the wall. They're going to know approximately where he is. They know Dinnik is out in the open, so they know exactly who's trying to flank him. Dandan, hungry for XP. Please, sir, may I have another level? I'd like to upgrade my teammates. He gets one wave.
It's so hard, though, because poor little Ornn wants to be there for the 5v5. Like, he's so important for these team fights that he can't just, like, peace out to a side lane to get some EXP. Get some peanuts.
I think there's degrees of wrong. There's no 100% correct choice. You want everything.
So Johnny ult. I'm just waiting for it to come across this corner.
Who's going to find the flank first? Denik is very far back. Obviously can use any of his teammates as a highway to make his way into the back line. But have to be very careful. Vander might as well be glued to Hansama at this point.
Hero Ward. Shout out to little blue orb right there. Sitting in the bush, catching this gator, looking for the very deep reach around.
No comment on that one. Slowly, Renekton, though, continues to bully in on the bottom side. And it feels like, once again, we've had these points multiple points in the game, right, Frostgar? And I felt like Rogue pulled very healthily in the lead, but now it feels like, once again, we've reset to the point where they see 3 items on the enemy team, they know that a wrong team fight can cost them so much, and the entire game is slowed down. It's become about trading waves. I say that. Cast or curse. Immediately, it's about the Baron instead. Rogue are starting it up, and there's a TP on the way in.
It's getting shred very quickly.
5K, lower and lower. Inspired going forward. Excellent ult from B-Boy. Good reaction speed. Baron still poking down. Has it reset, though. Denik trying to find the engagement. There's no follow-up damage. They're not in position, but here comes the Ornhorn. Everyone's lined up, but they only managed to hit one. It's Larson. Finn on the backside. Misfits now have to pull back. They can get collapsed on here, and it would be disastrous. Finn, Blade of the Rune King move speed, taking him forward. My God, it's neck and neck in these fights.
Razork still has his ultimate, so there's still some protection from Finn. It's why Finn can't immediately just go in. Lee Sin would just kick him away.
Ooh, big snare there from Hansama, but once again, no follow-up. Inspired is back. Can make his way into this fight. Has used his Randuin's Omen active and his Flash as well, so some of his tools are not available.
Larson's all teleported in, so Rogue got him right where they want him. Health bar advantage.
Dan unstoppable is just going to back away here. Cannot use that CC, but now Hansama has been caught out. He's going to be in trouble. They're trying to buy their time. Razor trying to find the kick flash. Instead, he's going to kick the Sidorni in the midst of the team. Hansama now going to be in trouble, but Denik cannot find the knock-up. A beautiful flash from Hansama. They're fighting enemy territory, but it doesn't matter. Rogue have met a strong back line, and they're pushing Misfits back into their own side of the map. They're all so low. There's so much damage threat here on the Misfits side. If Rogue misposition, they can get shredded, but this is definitely Rogue's fight to lose. Snare there.
They've corralled them.
Oh, they've just gone into the meat grinder. Rogue have set it up so beautifully. Unstoppable. Now it's Larson's time to shine. Hansama on the backside with the onslaught. Just let him die. Triple kill coming in for the Azir. Rogue, that was a thing of beauty.
And they don't even need the Baron. Rogue knows the damage is done. It was a controlled, slower pace game. That's exactly what Rogue want to see on a composition that is their bread and butter. They just tear Misfits apart and bring us to a 1-1 series.
Incredible fight. Shepherding them back. I didn't know who was going to come out on top, but Rogue, stay steady, stay controlled. This is what you talk about when it comes to scaling, when it comes to a close game. Execution from Rogue is on point. They're walking around. It's a victory lap as they tie up the series. 1-1, the overall score. What a change here in Game 2.
But something that is very important to watch for is that